What is hatching, Toga Peeps? Top 10 coming at you today. We are 2 days, that's right, two days away from Pokemon X and Y, the official release. Today isn't going to be anything important. We are just going to get nostalgic again, and we're going to go back and look at some of the not more recent, some of the past gens. And I'm just going to go over the past 5 gens briefly, if at all possible, which isn't if you know me. And, yeah, just going to talk about them, talk about some of my favorite Pokemon from that generation, what my feelings are towards those generations, how I did the games, etc. So, let's go back to Gen 1. Okay. Gen 1 seems like it was forever and a day ago, especially with Red and Blue and Yellow. But, for those of you who don't know, and you probably should if you watch my channel, these were the starters from the Kanto region. The first Pokemon, my first ever Pokemon, was Charmander. I started off with Pokemon Blue and used Charmander, because I was against the grain. But, yeah. I started off with Charmander, but however, in retrospect, Squirtle is my favorite starter from the first gen. Although I don't know that I ever used it in game. I mean, aside from Yellow, because why not give you the god team they give you in that game? You know what I'm saying? But, my very first favorite Pokemon from Gen 1 was Nidoking. I don't know why. I mean, I still love using him, especially now that he has Sheer Force, which I hope will carry over into the next gen, because that would be nice, because it made him useful and worth using. I mean, outside of in-game purposes. But, yeah, I used to rock Nidoking on every team I had, especially in-game. Another couple of my favorite Pokemon, I mean, some of you know I love using Clefable, especially in competitive battling. Zapdos. Zapdos is one of my all-time favorite legendary Pokemon. So, yeah, there was that. As I already said, the Gen 1 games were the original Gen 1 games were Red, Blue, and Yellow. And, as far as I'm concerned, Yellow is the best third game they ever made for a series. Just because it changed, it's one of the few games that changed something about it. So, those are gonna get comments saying, oh, they changed everything in every new third game. Nah. This was a single game where you didn't get to choose your starter. That has not happened since. So, I mean, and granted, it followed the cartoon / anime, whatever you want to call it. If it's an American, it's Americanized. To me, it's a cartoon. It no longer remains to be anime. So if you followed the original cartoon, it pretty much follows Ash's story, as opposed to where Red and Blue followed Red's story. But yeah, I don't want to get into that because I hate Ash, and I love Red. But anyways, yeah. But you got Pikachu, you were given Squirtle, you were given Charmander, you given Bulbasaur, not in that order, I don't think. But you got all 3 starters plus Pikachu relatively early in the game. So you had a Fire, Water, Grass, and Electric core handed to you early in the game, and that was amazing. And I'm actually looking forward to something similar to that in, X and Y, because I plan on I plan on starting out with Chespin, #Team Chespin. I'm going to get Squirtle as my Kanto starter, and they'll be giving you Torchic. Not that I think I'm going to use Torchic, because I don't like using Torchic / Blaziken, Combusken in-game. It never worked for me, and I'll explain that as we get to Gen 3. So that's enough about Gen 1. So let's move on to Gen 2. And Gen 2 until Gen 5. Gen 2 is my second. It's not my least favorite game series, but it's the one above my least favorite game series. And let me tell you why, because everybody thinks Johto is the best region. I love the fact that once you beat the Johto region, you could go back to Kanto. I wish they did that in more games. Honestly, I do. I appreciate that factor of the game. But the overall gameplay and it wasn't that big to me. And there aren't enough, how do I want to say that? I didn't really attach to any of the Pokemon in it. I don't know what else to say. It didn't really spark anything with me when it came out. And it is the only Pokemon video game generation that I did not buy the third game to. I never owned Crystal. What game did I start out with? The Lugia one. Silver. I started out with Silver. And, oh man, I abused Lugia once I got it because I wasn't a big fan of Ho-Oh back then. I love it now. But I didn't like it then. But, yeah. I wasn't a big fan of Gen 2. Like I said, I like the fact that you could go back to Kanto, but, that wasn't enough to make me to really, really like the game. My two favorite Pokemon from this, and there is a close third. Togepi we're not going to count as a favorite because Togepi is God tier above favorite in my opinion. But, some of you, if you've been a fan of my channel or my channels, God, I can't believe I have to say that, fan of my channels for a long time, you know one of my favorite, what I'm going to call an original poke set that I made, was a Steelix that I had. And I loved that freaking Steelix, but before they nerfed Explosion. And Steelix, I loved Steelix as soon as he came out. I like his design. I didn't like that you had to trade to get him because none of my friends were cool enough to trade. But, yeah. I love Steelix. I almost died when I got the first foil Steelix card. I still have it in my folder somewhere. And to this day, Steelix is one of my favorite Pokemon. Another one, and I still love this Pokemon. As a matter of fact, I put this Pokemon in my fanfic that I never finished. Well, not really the under-evolved part of it. I gave to the main character because I wanted the evolved form of it to finally be in there, and that's Houndoom. Love Houndoom. If I didn't start with Cyndaquil, as a matter of fact, the first time I played through, I put Cyndaquil in the box and started using Houndour when I got to the point I could catch it. Just love the look of it. I mean, not because it looks evil and goth and that stuff. I just like it. It looks good. And, the close third, and I love to use this Pokemon competitively, even though I didn't put it in a lot of videos, was Heracross. I like the typing. I like its moves, its stats. Heracross is a solid Pokemon, and I like to use it. So, let's move on to Gen 3. Gen 3, hands down, is my all-time favorite generation, game, region, whatever you want to call it. The Hoenn region, I love it. I could give you a list of 20 Pokemon that I just love from there. But I'm not going to do that. Reasons I like Gen 3, I don't know why. After Gen 2, I had such a sour taste in my mouth, but I started off with Sapphire. And, loved it. Was a huge Kyogre fan to start. And, loved the Pokemon in it. I love the region. It has some of my favorite electric types, which is, if not my favorite, my second favorite all-time type. It had Plusle and Minun in it. It had, Electrike and Manectric, which, true fact, one of the first breeding, I think I mentioned this in my last video, or the last nostalgia video. My first ever bred shiny Pokemon, and it just so happened I bred a shiny timid Manectric with Hidden Power Grass. And that pretty much made me pee my pants. I was so excited. But I love Manectric. I love its look. Who else did I like? Camerupt. Camerupt is one of my all-time favorite Pokemon. From the first time I had Numel, I used the crap out of it. And I just love Camerupt. Another one of my all-time favorite Pokemon, Medicham. Pokemon I love to use in-game, but really doesn't get much competitive play. Exploud. I don't know why, but I attached to that Pokemon. And I just used the crap out of it. I started off with Trico, and in my opinion, it's the only starter worth using that you don't get something better than it or its type in the game. Example, I could never get very far with Torchic. I don't know why, but it just never lasted for me in the game. I just ended up in the box before I made it to the second or third gym. That's probably because you get Camerupt in, Mount Pyre, or whatever that pathway is up the mountainside. And I just used it from there because I love it. What are some of my other favorite Pokemon? In my opinion, it has the best core of legendary Pokemon. It also has one of the largest, so I mean, that kind of helps. But I mean, all of these guys I've used or currently use on teams. And that's the 3 Regis. Regirock, one of my all-time favorite Pokemon. Regice, my least favorite of the Regis. And Registeel, which I love to use in Ubers. It had the Lati twins, which a lot of people think came from the second generation, but they didn't. Kyogre, Groudon, and Rayquaza. 3 almost, I don't want to say invincible, but ridiculously good Pokemon in Ubers. It had Jirachi. If you don't like Jirachi, you either are butthurt about getting your asshole hacks dry by it, or you're a moron. One of the two. And Deoxys. Who doesn't like Deoxys? Again, people who have bloody buttholes or suck. But yeah, my all-time favorite gen. After Emerald came out, which was my most ever anticipated Pokemon game, I put more hours into Emerald than I have in any other Pokemon game ever. And I played the crap out of Blue when I had it. I maxed out my hours. I probably bred more. Well, I bred more in 4th gen because I needed to for competitive play. But Gen 3, I entered my first competitive play tournament, which actually they had one in Pittsburgh, which is only like an hour and a half south of me, which was wonderful. I went to what's called the Journey Across America tour, which was, I think, the 10th anniversary tour. Yeah, I've actually got the pin for it. Right there. I hope you can see. 10th anniversary. Yep. I still have that pin. I still have the collectible card they gave away for it, too, for TCG. But, yeah, I just loved it. I entered my first competitive tournament. What did I finish? I finished, what place was I? I think it was 12th. 12th in my regional tournament. Was the regional tournament, yeah. The Journey Across America was the regional tournament. I think, I don't know, someone's like, no, you're dumb, you're stupid, what are you talking about? Whatever. I finished 12th and they gave away so much cool shit at that event. I wish I could go back and relive it. But yeah, there's that. Moving on to Gen 4. Gen 4, I mean, Gen 4 is probably my second favorite, not because of the in-game play, but because of how much it got me in love with Pokemon, even after I loved the 3rd game. But, I mean, the competitive aspect of it just dropped me to a new level of wanting to play Pokemon. For those of you who don't know, it was the first time online Wi-Fi you could battle that way. I remember I still have my little freaking Nintendo Wi-Fi USB stick that communicated with my DS. I have the Dialga and Palkia themed DS. Which one was it? DS Lite. I still have it. It's somewhere. But I mean, I loved Palkia. I started off with Pearl. I still love Palkia. The typing is just so good. And I love Kingdra too from Gen 2. But if Kingdra's speed was just a little bit more. Oh man, I would use the crap out of that thing too, just because it's such great typing. Yeah, some of my favorite Pokemon from Gen 4, Ambipom, Tangrowth. Love Tangrowth. For those of you who never saw my competitive battles, I used the crap out of that thing. Back in Gen 4, when leads were leads and not Gen 5, I used to use the crap out of Ambipom, man. It was one of the best leads ever. Rotom, even though in Gen 4 it was Ghost, and I wish it still was, Ghost, Electric, no matter what the form was an excellent Pokemon, and I love the typing. Ghost, Electric with Levitate, it was excellent. And of course Regigigas, my all-time favorite hack battle Pokemon. Just because, why not? But yeah, that was Gen 4. Love Gen 4. I wasn't a huge fan. I mean, I like the in-game play, but I mean, it wasn't, like, great. It has my all-time least favorite evil team. I mean, even though Team Plasma really fucking sucks, what, Team Galaxy or whatever the hell it was called? I had a conversation with a friend of mine at work who's an anime fan, and while I was discussing the difference between the generations of evil Pokemon teams, and it honestly took me half an hour to come up with the name for Team Galaxy. I was like, I don't remember what the hell the team was called, because it was that insignificant to the game. Just like, oh man, this sucks so bad. But yeah. So that's gonna wrap up Gen 4. Gen 4, good game. Gen 5 is my least favorite generation. And again, it dropped me to such a low level to where I didn't even want to play the game. I almost didn't buy. I started off with White. I didn't say what I got in Gen 4, did I? No. Yeah, I had Pearl, and then I got Platinum. But yeah, I got both Soul Silver and Heart Gold when they came out. I got Fire Red back in Gen 3 when that happened. Probably another reason I really liked Gen 3 was because they remade Gen 1, and it was just like, shit. But, yeah. But Gen 5, I feel they really rushed Gen 5 out to try and get sales boosted and get a new cartoon series and get more toys and shit sold, and didn't really think about what the hell they were doing with the fucking game. But I mean, what do I know? You know? But yeah, I couldn't play Gen 5 competitively. It was terrible. And it really made me not like playing Pokemon for a long time. But I did get into White too. I had White for I started off with White because I really like Zekrom over Reshiram. And I just got White 2 because I guess it continues with the same. I don't know, I never finished White 2. I haven't, and I'm still playing it, getting ready to go into X and Y. But, yeah. The only Pokemon I really, really liked from Gen 5 that was any different than any other Pokemon was Chandelure. And that's just because highest special attack of any non-Uber Pokemon. But now, actually it's probably going to be really good again. It's probably going to be really good next gen, because it's pretty much going to nerf Fairy types. Not to mention Ghost hits Steel for base damage now. The fuck is up with that? I did a video on how much that pissed me off that they nerf Steel typing. Yeah, anyways. But that's Gen 5. I really didn't like much about it at all, besides Chandelure. I enjoyed playing White. The in-game play, kinda solid. I wasn't a huge fan of the Team Plasma ploy, but it's fucking Pokemon. They gotta have a bad team, and they had to figure out something new to do to try and destroy the to try and enjoy the hell was that region called? Who cares? It sucked. But they tried to destroy the 5th gen region, and it's just like, oh my god. Why can't anybody just destroy the freaking planet? You know? Is it that hard that one kid can destroy your organization? Fucking noobs. But yeah, so that's been Nostalgia, episode 2. Looking back at some of our favorite pokes, say favorite generations. So go ahead, comment down below, with your favorite generation, your favorite Pokemon, maybe your favorite type if you want to, or maybe what some of your favorite changes were in between the games. One of the big ones that I didn't mention that I really liked was which I actually liked from the Gen 1 to Gen 2 transition, was the night and day thing. The fact that you had to be up at a specific time to catch certain Pokemon, I love that. I mean, it made it inconvenient as fuck because I only ever played in the morning, and I liked all the nighttime Pokemon. But it was a cool mechanic, and it got dark at night. That was fucking awesome. But yeah. So let me know what you think about all that down in the comment section below. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumb up the butt, which we haven't done in a long time. So, like, comment, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and if you're one of the 10 people who regularly give me a view, you're probably subscribed. But if you're not, click the subscribe button, which is up there somewhere. But yeah, is that where it is anymore? No, it's not. Fuck. Whatever. Subscribe. This has been Top Tumpton, guys. Catch you on the flip side. Peace out.